Shaboopy. Recording now. Well, la-di-da, slap my knee and call me Nancy. Start the old Goldy and Friends podcast, a little revisit of a previous episode. The baseball boys back at it again. Three dudes who feel like we know enough about baseball to talk about it on a regular basis. Figure we jump back on. Those of you who don't know, sitting next to me, one Kevin Holbert. He is here. The man, the myth, the weed whacker. Hopefully your headache isn't bothering you too much today.
We'll see.
I'm doing great.
It's good to be here.
I'm glad that you're here. And also, even funnier, we'll try to get this done in time so you can go watch fake football. Are you Viva La Italia or are you Team England?
That is who I will be.
Gotcha. And then coming to us on the Zoomy all the way from beautiful Montgomery, Alabama. The man who drives on a regular basis a jet-powered lawnmower. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Nickel, diehard Braves fan. What's happening, buddy?
What's up, fellas?
So I think we should just address the elephant in the room. We knew we were going to suck this year.
Yeah.
What's going on with your Bravos, buddy?
Well, one of three teams who have not been over 500 so far this year had a chance. Yeah, it's pretty shitty, isn't it?
It's terrible.
To not even be over 500 for one day, and then they hit 500 last night. But of course, we also lose Ronald Acuna Jr. to a devastating knee injury, and now today they start off the game in fine Braves fashion. Ian Anderson gives up a first inning 3-run homer, and the first six Braves in the lineup all strike out on their side of it. So I haven't even looked at the score since then.
Who are they playing today?
The Marlins. So they reached 500 last night, had a chance to go over 500 today with a win, and looks like they're down 3-0, 4-0 now in the bottom of the third, and they still don't have a hit in the game.
Oh, that is not good. I was going to say, I thought maybe you were going to say they were playing the Mets and it was going to be DeGrom, although they seem to handle DeGrom pretty well.
Yeah.
Gave him his worst start of the year.
Yeah, doubled his ERA. Oh, this is great. So Pablo Lopez, I think it's Pablo Lopez, pitching for Miami. He struck out all 9 hitters first time through the lineup. Has that ever been done before?
I don't know. I was getting ready to say I've never even heard of that.
The first 9 hitters all struck out.
Oh,
He didn't have Acuna to throw at, so it doesn't.
Well, yeah, so there wasn't going to be a hit by pitch.
right.
But
Time.
yeah, he man, that's impressive. On 35 pitches, 30 for strikes, just mowing guys down.
Oh, it's I don't want to make it worse. It's now 4-0 Marlins.
Yeah.
Runners on first and third with nobody out. Yikes. That's crazy. Well, I think one of the things we wanted to make sure we talked about, just because as we chat a little bit before this, is just kind of the first half of baseball, how the Major League Baseball season's gone. What we all kind of think in terms of maybe some, half midseason awards and then playoff predictions. The good news is none of the three of us have to worry about the playoffs, probably.
Right.
They still have a little bit of a chance. There's still a whole half of baseball to go.
There is, but if this is any indication of how they're going to play in the second half, then I don't have a whole lot of faith in it. I mean, it's hard to replace. Well, you can't replace an MVP candidate in your lineup. I mean, that's he's everything to that team, offensively and defensively, really. Human highlight reel. I wouldn't be surprised if they turn into sellers at the deadline. They've got a bunch of guys on 1-year deals or who are on expiring deals, whether it's Smiley or Morton. Or, even out of the bullpen, I mean, you've got Shane Green, Chris Martin, even Will Smith. If they decided, maybe we just need to kind of blow this thing up a little bit. Will Smith, I think, has a year or two left on his contract, and maybe you try and dump him to get rid of that remaining money.
Yeah.
Do they see that they have a chance? I haven't looked at the wild cards.
I mean, it's possible, right? Like that you could look at. They're in a tough spot, right? They live in that no man's land right now.
Yeah. They really don't. I mean, the wild cards are going to come out of the West. It's going to be, you're going to have three. I mean, the way it's going right now, you're going to have three playoff guys come out of the West. It's going to be the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres in some order, I think.
Well,
I don't know.
That's barring any of them having some sort of collapse.
True.
Which I gotta feel like the most likely of that to come down to a collapse would be, it's got to be San Francisco, right? Because that doesn't seem like
they're the ones that I would see collapse.
Like the Padres roster is too talented and put together. But then again, and same with the Dodgers. But then again, just kind of to what you just said, Justin. I mean, when you look at it, Atlanta was in it, and last night happened. And now, what are you going to do? Because, like you said, you can't replace the top 5 player in baseball. And with Tatis's shoulder constantly bothering him, he's missed time twice for a shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come out of that group. They seem to be odd, and the Giants just seem to be. It's hard to say they're overachieving because they've done it for 88 games at this point. So doing pretty well. I think that their only weakness may be the guy running the show. But
so you're saying there's a chance.
So I'm saying there's a chance. So yeah, no, you're right. So I mean, if you have 3 teams come out of the West, then really you're going to get the division winners from the East and the Central.
Yeah.
Back to the Braves, who sit at 500. They're still in second place. Maybe, probably this year might be lost. However, a tremendous amount of talent to carry you further into the future. So it's hard, I guess. It would be hard. I guess, like the guys, like you said, like there's no shot Charlie Morton is in their future plans to win.
Right.
Same with probably Drew Smyly. Morton's gotten hot at the right time here to provide you some value.
Right.
He should have 28 and 60.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough call. They're in a really weird situation where that front office has to pick a direction, because if they push their chips all in, it's a winnable division. But taking into account the Acuna injury, how much does that take away? But then again, every other team is one injury away from the same sort of thing. The Mets, if the Mets lose DeGrom, then that takes away a significant piece to their to their chances. If the Phillies lose one of either, let's say, Real Muto or Harper, I mean, they've already talked about possibly being sellers at the deadline.
I was going to say, I feel like they may need to. They're in a spot where of all the teams in the East, them and the Nationals to me are teams that have to make a decision on direction now.
Yep.
Because they're both kind of stuck. And when you look at, I was just trying to look. I don't feel like even Bryce Harper's having that great a year. Right?
I don't think he is. I don't think he numbers recently,
but I just don't feel like he's having that great a year. And so, even if he were to go injured, I don't know, it would affect them. And that's another one that I don't understand how that team keeps flirting with 500. It doesn't make sense. Them and the Nationals both have relatively talented rosters, but not great rosters. They put themselves in no man's land almost. Juan Soto is supposed to be the second coming of Mickey Mantle, and out an average year at best. Now, also only 21 years old, but
right. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a case of where you've got 5 teams in that division who are all pretty evenly matched and who all play each other really tough, and it's just kind of nobody can really there's no clear cut best team there, so nobody's really eking out ahead. And then at the same time, no team is really terrible. Like in the West, you have 3 teams beating up on 2 teams constantly. I mean, the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are probably the 2 worst teams in baseball right now. And when you play, hey, even so, I mean, the Diamondbacks lost what, like 25 straight games on the road?
Yeah,
Something insane like that.
Yeah, they're the only team with a worse percentage than the Baltimore Orioles.
And so you have 3 pretty high caliber teams beating up on 2 really shitty teams constantly, just over and over and over again. I mean, you play the majority of your games against teams in your own division. So when you do what good teams are supposed to do and beat the bad teams 99% of the time, I mean, those are they're almost like free wins. You're like, oh, we're playing the Rockies tonight. You're almost guaranteed that you're going to take 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. And most of the time it's coming, sweep. So I don't know. It's tough without a balanced schedule. It's really tough. You got to look at who are the outliers that the Braves play in the second half. I don't know.
Right.
Do they, they've already played the Dodgers. They've already played the Diamondbacks. They've already played the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Brewers, the Pirates. So I don't really know who in the second half outside of their division who they play. So if they just keep sitting there treading water and keep, playing 500 ball, I don't know if that's going to be enough to win that division.
Here's we're both looking at it right now. Here's what I'm going to tell you that is really bad. You guys come out of the All-Star break just with the shittiest stretch of games. 3 at home versus Tampa, 3 at home versus the Padres. Then you go to Philly, New York, where is that a 5-game series with the Mets? A 5-game series with the Mets. That's
Yep, because they had a rain out earlier, so they got to double up. Yeah, there's a stretch where I think when they come out of the All-Star break, if I remember, they play something. They don't have an off day for like a month.
And then after that New York series, they come home for Milwaukee and the Cardinals. They go to the Cardinals, then they come, and then they have the Nats come. Then they catch a nice break after that though, because then not really.
Then the end of August, you have San Francisco at home. Then you hit the road to play the Dodgers.
Yeah.
However, the good news with that is you have a 4-game series with Arizona mixed in there. So
that's interesting. I thought we were done playing Arizona, but that's
that's
right. That's right. We got to play at Arizona. Arizona came to Atlanta and swept the Braves in 3 games, and then from there, that's when they started losing 25 in a row on the road. It's like the weirdest thing. Came to Atlanta, beat the shit out of the Braves, and then proceeded to lose 25 games in a row.
Yeah, that team doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. But they suck. But then you brought up a good point there, and I think it's one thing, especially here. I know we've talked about a million times. When I say we, I mean here in this market, but also the 3 of us have talked about a couple of times. Is the preposterous nature of this current schedule. When I say current, the way it has been for the last 20 some odd years of it's going to make it more interesting if you play more division games. No, it's not. It's not going to work. And trust, we've gotten to taste that for almost 30 years at this point. Having to play the Red Sox, Yankees, and Rays that many times. And now, granted, the Rays, it's come and gone with them. And for the longest time, they were really bad. But having to play that unbalanced schedule is not so much. I don't think about it as much in terms of the competitive piece. But I do think that it would help level out idea of who is actually going to be in the playoffs, who's actually making the playoffs, and who actually has a shot chance in the playoffs. That's why I still can't believe, to your point, San Francisco I'm not a believer in because they've gotten to play the Diamondbacks a bunch of times and the Rockies a bunch of times. But I've watched, and although they've held their own, the Dodgers in a couple of series. But then I look at like the Red Sox, the Rays and the Yankees have beaten the piss out of and have gone on to play other teams and still played very well. The Reds, to me, right God, I hate saying this, but they might be the best team in baseball. They might be the best team in baseball. And if they're a buyer and they can find a way to pull bullpen and another starter.
Well, and they got Chris Sale coming back in the second half.
That's right. So
Chris Sale will be back. So yeah, I mean that right there is like making a deadline trade right there.
Yeah, without having to give up anything. And that's just looking at that division. But then, so if we go division by division here, right? So we look at we'll start with the American League East. If we look at the American League East right now, you have the Red Sox on top. You have the Rays right behind them. You have the Yankees. I don't know what the Yankees are trying to do. That team is garbage, in my opinion. That's a bad baseball team. Yeah, I quite honestly, if I'm them, and this may sound ridiculous, but to me, I see what you can get for Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Because that dude's not going to stay healthy. He's too big a body to be that athletic. Yeah, never stays healthy. I think that's a good move for them, but I don't know that they'll do that. And Toronto, I don't know, man. That's a team that if it catches fire, it would be terrifying to play.
Yep.
Because they've only had Springer for a month.
Yeah.
Because he's been hurt most of the season. Which I think that's going to be like the running theme of everything we talk about here with teams has been injuries. It's been devastating with injuries this year. I know, like with the fantasy baseball league, I mean, it's been crazy to watch superstars going down. Mike Trout's still not back, right? That was 6 to 8 weeks. He's not supposed to be back till after the All-Star break. So there's that. So I don't know what you guys think, but I'm feeling like, to me, Boston and Tampa probably coming out of the East playoff-wise, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto can catch up. I don't think the Yankees are good enough. And the Orioles being 26 games out of first place makes it a little difficult to make a hard charge. And consider that. So that's another one, right? So the loss there, talking on the Orioles, the first 3 starts of the year for Matt Harvey were like, yes, trade chip come July. And boy, he's probably getting DFA'd soon.
I believe so. He has not pitched well since those first 3 starts.
Yeah,
he's awful.
He has the other day. He has the worst ERA in baseball for a starter who qualifies with more than however many starts.
Not surprised.
Is he a victim of the spider tack rule?
No, it was shitty before that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was shitty before that. Okay.
It would be John Means when he comes back.
Yeah, that'll be the only thing, right? That's the only bright spot is John Means comes back after the All-Star break, which is great.
Anybody's a victim of it, he is.
He might be, yeah.
It was a questionable no hitter.
Yeah, there's just things his ball does from time to time. You're like, hey, man, what do you got going on there? But the bigger gut punch here comes to what the Orioles will do at the trade deadline with Trey Mancini.
Yeah.
Because that conversation has picked up heavy.
It has picked up heavy, and it's going to be tough to see how it plays out because they're going to have to go along if they can take the PR hit. That's what's going to be the biggest issue.
Can he play right field?
He plays first. He'll play first or the outfield. So he's versatile that way, and the dude's just a pure hitter. He is Nick Markakis with power from the right side. Like the same type of player, identically the same type of player.
Not the arm.
No, not necessarily the arm. No. But quality everywhere. Great dude. Everything. I mean, could he play right field? Yeah, the Braves could take him. It might be a good idea.
I mean, because there were already rumors that the Braves were looking at him to play left field.
Yeah.
And so now, kind of doubling down on when they lost he who shall not be named to the finger and domestic violence incidents. There were rumors about Trey Mancini to the Braves, to make up for that lost production. And now I'd be curious to see if they would try and pull this off, losing Acuna, or if they would say, you know what, this is too much. We're going to punt on this season and not give up anything.
I think that's the key. They have to make that decision if they're going to punt on the season. If they think they still happen, and what's their name? That these guys that have underperformed on the mound come back and perform better, and they're like, hey, look, we can still do this. It makes a lot of sense. You have I think that the Orioles are in a position with Trey Mancini that he doesn't want to leave. They could re-sign him after next year. However, the question, that they're in a position where they can sit and wait. This is the most his value will ever be because it's still a year and a half of control. Forever has him. But I think that they're in a position based on PR. I mean, I've had two people that I know go to Orioles games in the last week. There were less than 8,000 people in the stadium. That's not good. And the only thing those people are coming to see is, their beloved Trey Mancini. So to take that hit, it would have to be basically what I'm saying is the Braves would end up having to overpay. I think any team is going to have to overpay.
Any team will have to play. There has to be a top 5 prospect.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not necessarily worth that kind of thing. And that's what would be the overpay. However, he's not worth, 2 players and cash considerations. He's not that type of guy. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do it. They had Freddie Galvis was going to be a piece to sell, and then he blew out his quad.
Tanner Scott was a piece. He turned out to be awful.
He can't throw strikes. That's good. A lefty that throws 97 that can't throw strikes. That's great.
I think the only one out of the bullpen who is an option to be traded now is Fry.
And they don't want to trade him because he's young. So who knows? But if you could put in a word with the Braves to go ahead and fill an outfield spot with Austin Riley and have the Fat Panda play third, I need 5 games, and then I can put him in my lineup all the time when Bregman comes back for being.
You might see that because they did call up Camargo to take Acuna's spot on the roster, so you may see Camargo at third and Riley take some reps in the outfield here before long, especially if they determine that, if they lose somebody else, or if they determine that they're like right now they have Ahiri Adrianza playing right field today. And he's not a traditional outfielder by any means. He's a utility infielder. So if they go forward and they decide, hey, we're better off, putting Riley out and left, you might get your wish.
Yeah, I would love that. It would be great, especially when Bregman. Although Riley's been very good. My own fault for trying to pick him up. I thought he was still eligible for the outfield, but he only played 4 games last year. Need 5. All right. So looking at the NL or the AL Central, what a crappy division.
Must be nice to be in that position.
Jeez.
Is that a White Sox runaway?
The White Sox are 7.5 games in front. No, I take that back. Cleveland is somehow over 500. That roster, that's just Terry Francona doing a great job of managing. That roster is not good.
Yeah.
They have a marginal ace in Shane Bieber.
Marginal.
But yeah, I think the White Sox run away. That nobody else is coming out of that division. And then the West, the AL West is interesting. Just because you have 3 teams over 500, I don't think Seattle's going to be very good. But again, I think that this is, you have Houston and the A's. They're both pretty good. To me, the Red Sox take the East. Houston probably takes the West, and then the A's and Tampa are playing for that wild card spot. Yep. They're going to do the playing game. I can't see anybody else kind of sneaking into that. And then you look at the National League. We've talked about the division already for a majority of this time, but like the NL East, I don't really feel good even picking a team who would win that division.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot right now.
Yeah, like you go down all the way down to Washington, who's in 4th place, and they're only 6 games out. I mean, they're a Juan Soto boom second half away from being back in this.
Yeah, that's a 8-2 or a 9-1 10-game spread where another, the Mets are going 5-5 or 4-6, and they're right back in it. I mean, that's all it takes for any team in that division, really.
Yeah, Miami's not that far out. They're only 10 games out.
Whole division.
Oh, that would be weird. Somehow Miami pulls that off.
Dude, But I mean, it's not it. It wouldn't be surprising. They don't have a bad roster. They have really good pitching.
Mhm.
They picking up Starling Marte was a huge deal. If Adam Duvall goes on one of his weird runs where he hits 10 home runs in 2 weeks, which is not out of the question, he can carry a team for a short bit. I mean, they don't have a bad team. They just have a shitty manager. I mean,
Yeah, that's for sure.
fucking Donnie Baseball. If he can get out of his own way.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And that's what Kevin just said, made a good point. I mean, look at what they did last year in that little goofy, shitty season of 2020.
Yeah.
Won at the division. And they got a lot
It's
of
that rotation.
remember, I mean, that was the big thing when Jeter's group took over and they went through that big, yet again, another fire sale and we're tearing things down. People were getting so upset. And he was like, just have patience. Point looking at what he's putting together outside of firing his buddy Donnie Baseball. Boy, you got to have some trust and faith in the winning ways of Derek Jeter. He seems to have put this stuff together. I don't know how much of a GM he is. I think he more just does president of baseball operations stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't their GM is what's her name, isn't it? That Kim Eng.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The lady.
First female GM.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, that's right. Because I remember when she got hired, they said that she was one of the ones in the running when they brought Elias in.
Right.
The Orioles were looking at bringing her in. Instead, they went with some crazy lady who does the announcing. She's not good.
She's awful.
Not 'cause she's a woman. People that are listening, there's only 10 of you that probably listen. It's fine. It's not because she's a woman. She's just a bad baseball announcer. So don't get grumpy with us. Looking at the NL Central, especially with news today that the Cubs have officially declared they are sellers.
Really?
Yeah, officially declared today that they are sellers. They are listening to any and all players, which I thought was interesting.
Because there was talks of bringing Rizzo back to Boston.
Yep.
Back home.
Rizzo back to Boston. Chris Bryant being a prized possession to pull out of there. And the one that was weird to me is apparently Wilson Contreras is available.
Really?
Wilson Contreras is available, which is weird because that dude is only, I think, 27. And stud. I mean, so to me, there are deals to be made by teams to get back in this thing and players to be had, which is good. I do think it's hilarious that the Cardinals brought in Arenado and brought Wainwright back and all this stuff, and oof, they suck. The Cardinals are not good. And in the West, we know we have those three teams. I still think the Dodgers probably win that division. San Diego comes out, and probably San Francisco.
Yeah,
I don't see them holding on to the division lead. No way. So that's kind of what it is. Does anybody have a thought or a prediction on who you think pulls this thing out? Takes it all? Halfway, absolutely meaningless prediction?
You want to go out on a limb and say San Diego?
Ooh. Think San Diego can pull it off,
I
huh?
think we can.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Well, Kevin stole my pick. So
You can
I guess out of the, I guess I'll go with the AL. I think you'll see Tampa Bay make another run.
Son of a gun. So you stole his pick. So he switches up and then takes my pick. So that's what I was going to say. I'm sticking with it, though. I'm with you. I actually think Tampa, like I said, I've got to watch a few games of Tampa playing even against other teams. I happened to be in Boston when Tampa was there. Watched them play the Orioles, the one game I went to already this year. They're just fundamentally better than everyone.
Yeah. And I think they're the team. They're going to make one or two sneaky moves here at the deadline of picking up seemingly insignificant players, but it's going to be guys who fit their puzzle just right and will push them over the edge. I don't know that they'll outright win the division, but all they have to do is just get in. All they have to do is just get in on a wild card, and they're
especially with Glasnow not actually having as bad an injury as originally thought.
right.
with a chance of him coming back.
Yes.
You know, especially if they're making a run, it could be one of those scenarios where who was it? I feel like even they did it with David Price at one point in time, let him ride out through the playoffs, and he ended up having, you know, surgery afterwards. Oh, hey, Misty.
You got a lot of laps there.
But they you know, ride it out and just, you know, go. And if it works out, awesome. And if it doesn't, that's all right. They were planning on letting him have surgery and miss most of next year anyway.
Figure out a way to grip the ball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He was another one, king of the spider attack. So yeah, I still think that they're fundamentally the best. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. And we're gonna let this guy outside since he's being so crazy.
He wants to be involved.
He does want
He's
to
got
be involved.
opinions.
You don't even care about baseball. Come on, go out there. Like the last podcast I did, the dog tends to become the star as he likes to make as much noise as humanly possible while we do these things. So moving on to kind of how players from the first half that have stood out, is there really anybody else to talk about other than Ohtani?
Nope.
Is it
That is
No.
impressive.
like he's
I mean, it was there was some Vlad Guerrero stuff there for a little while where he went on that little tear, but it's just been Ohtani has just taken over. And I mean, you feel like he's going to be riding this wave through the home run derby too, and that he's just going to put on a show there.
Ohtani is forcing pitchers to change the way they pitch just to try to trick them up.
Yeah. Yeah, the video of that dude with the Yankees trying to vary his delivery, just trying to throw his timing off.
The Yankee game, yeah.
Yeah, the pitcher just doing all kinds of goofy stuff to do it. It's unbelievable.
And he hits everything. I mean, he's hit like even lefties. I mean, he crushes lefties. You know, he's got 34 homers and I think a third of his home runs are off of lefties, and he's not facing lefties even a third of the time, you'd figure. But it was
right before we jumped on this. I just happened to rewatch the video yesterday, or yesterday, or I guess it was 2 nights ago, the home run in Seattle. That just went a mile. It put the ball where no one else has ever put it in Safeco. And that's what the announcer said. 11 home runs against lefties, slugging over 600 against left-handed pitching. Like, and then the stat that they put was it through 70 games, his comparison pitching and hitting against Babe Ruth, and he's ahead.
Who was it from Baseball America that said he was at best a high school hitter?
Yeah. I don't even know. Yeah, but he's what's crazy is, and I said this yesterday morning actually at Rockfit. I don't even remember who I was talking to about it because not many people there would have talked about it. It might have even been Roulette, but he said, you know, that we were talking about how great Ohtani was, might have been Derek. I said, you know, while it is great and I'm enjoying this season, I hope that it just rides out and he has a great second half, does the same thing. And it's something we've never seen before, but I'm going to slow the roll on the Babe Ruth comparisons. If he can do it for another season, please. I'm a big believer in, hey, anybody can have a great one season.
Right. Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Here's one thing about Ohtani that I'm looking at his stats right now that's maybe a little bit concerning, or at least kind of an outlier. Like, you know, he's pretty solid across the board. If you look at everything, got a bunch of doubles, couple of triples, 33 home runs, 70 RBIs. He's got 97 strikeouts in 297 at bats. So he's striking out about a third of the time. Mm-hmm. Not that that's necessarily, it's kind of goes along with what baseball is today. It's a 3 outcome sort of thing. You either hit a home run, you strike out, or you walk.
Right.
But man, that is kind of a lot of strikeouts for as dominating as he is. He's really going up there, literally swinging for the fences every time.
Yeah, that seems like it. It would be fun to watch just to see, and I think you're right, to see in the home run derby. Just see the show he's going to put on. I don't think Trey Mancini's going to put on a show. In all honesty, for trade value, I kind of hope so. It's a big stage. Show him you got some pop, man.
That was a joke. But yeah, especially with the balls not being in the humidor.
And it's in Colorado.
Yeah. So in Colorado, no humidor, juiced baseballs. I mean, shit, outside of letting them use metal bats, I don't see what else you could.
I don't know that they make an L screen net strong enough for me to ever throw a ball from behind it to a major league hitter using a metal bat.
Yeah.
I don't even care about the restrictions and everything they use now, where they keep them so the velocity is supposed to stay below 100. No, these guys, I would be afraid to even have spectators in the stands trying to catch a line drive home run off a metal bat from one of these guys.
Right.
So that's interesting. Tell them what you just pulled up.
So
there.
I'll correct what I said. It was Sporting News that said, quote, he's basically like a high school hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, from 2018.
I think they're wrong.
Yeah, maybe. And the
Whoops.
that said they don't believe Ohtani will be able to hit big league pitching, I hope aren't employed anymore.
Yeah.
No, they employed the pitchers because whatever he just did against the Orioles in 3 games was disgusting. I mean, for everybody else, he's on my fantasy team. I loved it. Dude, it was the highest scorer of the week because he hit like 7 home runs in a 3-game series against the Orioles or whatever it was. It was, yeah, it was crazy. But hey, it's the new reason, like I was telling Justin earlier today, or it was on our group thing. I was like, with Acuna getting hurt, that marks off one of the other 2 games I was going to go to the rest of this year for the Orioles, because the Braves are going to be here in August. And then 2 weeks later, the Angels are here. So Trout should be healthy. So it seems silly not to go to that game just to watch and see what happens with that. But that's crazy. So there's a couple things in there too that I want to get you guys' opinion on and what you think we could do. One, obviously, we know Justin's opinion on this, but we'll go that way. The All-Star game is in Colorado, not in Atlanta. Are there still massive protests in Atlanta? I haven't paid any attention. Is there anything that's been done?
No.
Didn't somebody attempt to sue Major League Baseball? I don't know how that's going.
I'm not sure how that turned out, but the people arrested in Colorado today or yesterday. Yeah. Were they from Atlanta?
I don't know if they were from Atlanta or not. I didn't hear where they were from.
Have you heard this story?
No, I haven't heard this story.
So they just raided some hotel in Colorado outside the stadium with people that had caches of guns and ammunition.
Yeah, they had 16 long guns, over 1,000 rounds of ammunition, and apparently one of the 4 guys that they arrested had made like a Twitter or a Facebook post saying, I'm going out in style, or I'm going out guns blazing, or something like that.
And the only one that was found was one of the maids was alerted. They saw something in the room.
Yeah. She saw the guns in the room. She went to clean the room and she saw the guns in the room and was like, what's this?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah, so they're thinking, so the FBI raided it and arrested those guys, and they're saying it's, you remember the Las Vegas shooting, the guy from the hotel room?
Yeah.
They're comparing it to that, where they think that's what they were planning on doing
during the All-Star game, or during at least the All-Star game festivities, which would have been around. Yeah. So
right
at the stadium too?
Yeah,
in that area,
yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm all for getting angry when things like, what happened to the All-Star game getting pulled out of Atlanta, which is silly, for being upset about it, but maybe on a shooting spree, maybe dial it back a few notches there. Whereas we like to say, down about 78% there, Squirrely Dan. I don't know what's happening there, but wow, that's crazy. So we have that going on, and then of course there's always the fun conversation of discussing all of our love for Fred Manfred, and how he's enjoying baseball. I saw that the stealing of first base will continue to be used in minor league baseball, and
stealing of first base.
The stealing of first base.
Yeah, you can steal first base.
So it's I believe, if you know better, I believe what it is that in any moment and any pitch, a batter can take off for first base.
Internet knows all.
Yeah, I was saying he'll look it up here in a second because I believe that's what it is that they can take off, but they can obviously make the play. And I believe it has to be after the pitch has been dealt. You can't, while he's in the stretch, just take off and run to first. Which would be interesting, especially given that they're also moving towards, it's been pretty successful. Did you find it?
Yep. It says the rule states that the batter may steal first base on any pitch not caught in flight, and that the batter can be thrown out if he attempts to run.
Okay. So basically, if it's a pitch in the dirt,
If it's a wild pitch,
Right.
or any of those, the pass ball, any of that,
Anytime.
they can take off and run first, no matter the count, no matter anything else, which is, I don't know. I guess call me a purist, but that's not baseball.
It's not baseball.
That's a different game.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Changing the rule of the game. And then I don't know, I have not heard any reports on what was being instituted down at like the rookie ball level, which was
Bigger bases.
no, not the bigger bases, but they do have the safety bag at first, which is weird. I mean, granted, everybody outside of college and pro has safety bags now for first base, but with the additional bag in foul territory, so you're not getting feet caught up. But the other one is the limited amount. You can only throw over to a base a certain amount of times.
Yeah.
A limit.
Right. Yeah. So you can only make 2 pickoff attempts. And then after that, which is silly because, I mean, as a base runner, after that second pickoff attempt, first move, boom, you're taking off.
Yep. Because even if he does
Yeah,
attempt to
doesn't
pick
matter.
off or anything,
It's
right?
ball.
Yeah, exactly. You'd automatically be called. That's crazy. Okay, so it's AAA is using the bigger bags. That seems odd. I mean, I guess I kind of forget it. I kind of get it, but I mean, that was the talk before, right? With bases was going back to bags instead of the bases because bags
Hard.
technically are a little more forgiving.
And I'm thinking, if I'm mistaken, the reason for the bigger bags is to promote hitting more stolen bases. That was one of the
Oh my gosh.
ideas behind it.
I think that's my biggest issue with Fred Manfred is if he's trying to do what the NFL has done, which is, more offense is better. No, there's not a top 10 plays on SportsCenter for the best double of the night.
They want more offense, but they want to speed up the game.
Right.
Which doesn't happen.
Everything spectacular in baseball typically revolves around the defense. It's the opposite. It's the polar opposite way of thinking. And it's just crazy to me that everything is geared towards the other way. It doesn't make sense. That's why I was excited at the beginning of the season when we had all these crazy pitcher stats with the strikeouts and with everything. And then they're like, we're going to take away the spider tack. Take away spider tack. But again, I will repeat my view on this because I think I don't care, in all honesty, if the guy throwing 100-mile-an-hour missiles at me has better control of it, go to town. If it's affecting the rotation or spin of the ball, so if you're scuffing it, if you're using Vaseline, all that crazy shit,
Bart, Vagisil.
Yeah, exactly.
Bardol.
Yeah.
Little jalapeno oven.
Up there getting electric snot on the way out.
Snot on the ball.
At my age, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm got an arm like yours. Someday you will too.
You're saying Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball?
The funny thing is so they wanted to blame, for all of the crazy movement on the ball and all the spin and everything on the ball, they're trying to blame spider tack. Well, if you read about the construction of the ball this year, the ball has taller seams this year than in any previous year. And it's like, baseball, why don't you standardize the baseball? Why don't you quit messing with the design of it?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you stop making it why are you trying to make it so slick to begin with, where people have to put something on the ball in order just to be able to grip it and throw it? Why are you making the seams so big and then blaming the pitchers for a ball that's moving so much more? It's not, to me, I don't think it's a grip or a tackiness to the ball that's making it spin more. If you have a bigger seam to be able to put your finger on, and you're able to push off on that seam harder, number one, that's going to cause faster rotation. But number two, those seams are going to cause the ball to move differently more than putting something sticky on the ball. I mean, the stickiness is just so that the ball doesn't slip out of your hand. It's not, to me, that's not what's giving you more rotation, more spin, and more movement. It's the seams that are doing all of that.
No, you're right. And like here, like we went to the Bay Sox game, minor league baseball, which all three of us attend more minor league baseball, it seems like these days, than Major League Baseball. But a foul ball that I got off of there, right here. I did not steal it from a kid, although the kid that asked for it after I caught it, I did give him a defiant stare in the eye and directly said, "No, it's mine." And yes, he was only like 10. I did stare the kid right in. He's like, "Maybe put his glove up," and I was like, "No." But with this ball, and you can feel it, the ball is so slick. The seams stand way higher, and the ball is so slick, even though it's rubbed down in Mississippi mud or whatever it is, right? It's still super slick. So you're going to have to do that. And you're exactly right. It doesn't change that. What's funny is that Major League Baseball changed it, messed with the ball with the seams when they started to basically eliminate the baseball every single time a guy fouled it off his foot or whatever. I know when I was growing up, and you could even like the biggest one I heard from and remember, your boy John Smoltz there used to talk about all the time. He'd get so pissed when they throw the ball out, because if a ball, Tom Glavine said the same thing in that book that John Weinstein did with him and Mike Mussina, Living on the Black. That's what we talked about. Both of them talked about like those little scuffs and that little stuff, especially when the seams were so flat, they would use those to get better rotation on the ball. And then they started getting rid of that. And how did Major League Baseball adjust? Oh, higher seams. That's what you're doing. And now you've got guys that are throwing at, it's the same thing as the offensive side of the ball, where it is all launch angle and home runs. That's all that matters. So if you strike out, we don't care. Well, if you come up and you can throw 101 miles an hour, that's pretty much how we want our bullpen to be, right? It's all power. The crafty lefty doesn't really exist anymore, although Paul probably doesn't throw that. But it doesn't happen. So what are you going to do about it? I don't want you to hold it as hard. Okay, well, these guys are throwing, two minor leaguers in the last month have thrown the ball 104 and 105. There becomes a time when the human eye can't react fast enough. And I would prefer that when we reach that threshold, if I was a player, especially, a batter, that maybe that guy has a little control of what that projectile is coming at.
Right.
But fact check, and mud comes from the Delaware River.
The Delaware River?
Yeah. The New Jersey side of it.
Oh,
gross.
So much explanation. These balls are radioactive then. Oh.
Does it smell like Jersey?
Ugh. No. It smells like sweat and bad decisions. My God. That is awful. Yeah, I don't know. That seems crazy to me that they are doing that, and there's this crackdown on whatever they use to have a better grip. And then the flip side of that is, if you're a player that uses it, take the Adam Wainwright approach, take the Tyler Glasnow approach. This is how you did it.
Yeah.
Don't take the Garrett Cole approach.
No, it's not the Garrett Cole approach.
Could you have had a worse answer? I don't know how to answer that. Pretty straightforward question, buddy.
Oh, there you go. You think you just did?
Yeah.
I think the inspection process.
Yes. Oh,
and when you're checking knuckleballers, that's a little ridiculous.
Well, I think we can all go ahead and say the best one thus far has been the Girardi Scherzer thing.
Oh, that was so.
That was so good. And it was until somebody pointed out to me. And I remember, was it you that pointed it out? Or somebody pointed out to me and said, did you notice though? Like Girardi did all that, and now one Phillies player had his back. Do that.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, sorry, Dick. It's too bad for you. You're being ridiculous now. Sure. And then that was the same night that Sergio Romo dropped his pants. Pulled him all the way down.
Yep. Like, here, check away.
Yeah. And then, not to bring up a sad subject again, but just because talking about things happening on the same night. Last night was a bad night for legs, huh? Acuna blowing out the knee, Conor McGregor snapping his leg.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good Saturday night for legs last night for pro athletes. Oh, and I'm assuming it was not pretty to see in person. Just saw some of the highlights, but yeah, man, I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting season. I don't know how many of these big injured guys are going to be coming back in the second half. We know for a fact Trout comes back, Sale comes back. We know for a fact Noah Syndergaard not coming back. And then somebody else just recently, a big pitcher that was rehabbing, just got shut down again as well. I can't remember who it was, but I do know that we know as Oriole fans, Hunter Harvey will be back and then hurt again. Yep. Solid waste of a first round pick there.
Means should be back.
Means will be back, which will be good.
Make his rehab starts,
which is good. Like I said, Glasnow will be back, which will be good. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see who turns things around. I'm sure the Padres right now are super thrilled with Blake Snell, Kevin's favorite pitcher of all time. He's been terrible.
Yeah.
Soroka was the other one who's not coming back. He just had his second Achilles tendon repair surgery.
That is exactly what it was, because it busted again, right? And
yeah.
Walking
through the clubhouse.
Achilles doesn't pop walking through the clubhouse.
Yeah, there was something sketchy going on there. There was, because he had he had the surgery done last year, and then he had the revision surgery done back in like April or May, because he was having some pain there and he didn't tell anybody about it for months. And so they opened it back up to do like a clean out procedure, and the stitches, whatever stitches or sutures that they used to attach the tendon to the bone, his body was not absorbing them. His body was rejecting them. So whatever that material was, so they had to go in there and clean all that out. And then he was back in a boot for like 2 weeks after that. And then the day that he got the boot off and he was walking through the clubhouse is when it popped.
Sounds like a vigorous game of ping pong.
Something. Yeah, that's where you know that like there was something more to the story there. Yeah, somebody doing some horseplay, some jackassery, something like that.
Had to be the case.
It was along the lines of the Jeff Kent, I was just washing my truck.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff washing my truck, or the Ubaldo Jimenez pothole.
That's what I was supposed to bring up. That's a little different. That was we just told you.
Yeah, well, it's just like all of a sudden when they couldn't figure out how to handle the Chris Davis situation, they somehow came up with a torn labrum in his hip.
Yeah, that's just.
And actually had surgery to fix it. And it's like, that's what we're using. Can we just
really?
I want to see the bill. I want to see the video of the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can claim on insurance and maybe get some of that money back.
That's my guess. They seem to have a rough history, the Orioles do, with hips.
They do.
Albert Bell. Yeah. Yep. That's what ended his career. The arthritic hip that they apparently didn't know about.
Expensive contracts.
Yeah, with very expensive contracts. Oh God, I don't even want to go down that road again. Just thinking about, Chris Davis, $161 million, because they picked him over Nelson Cruz and Nick Markakis having a fourth year.
Yeah, how'd that work out for him? What's Nelson Cruz doing?
What did I say?
6 years later.
Yeah, they're talking about like isn't he considered one of the biggest bats yet out there that's going to be a seller, because the Twins are sellers.
Yeah.
Toronto maybe going after him. Can you imagine adding Nelson Cruz into that lineup? But no, that's it's funny. That's what I tell you. I did that math at one time, and it was they paid $161 million over 7 years to Chris Davis. Had they just made the complete different decision the year prior and said, look, we know Chris Davis is going to walk. We're going to let him get paid, but we're going to keep Nelson Cruz and Markakis here with that fourth year each. It would have been 4 years at a total of $116 million. And during that same 4 year span, Chris Davis's average WAR, what did I say? I think it was like 1.2. And Nelson Cruz and Nick Markakis combined to average like a 7.
I think there was another situation where they didn't want to take the PR hit of losing Davis. not paying out for him.
which is the decision they made by not paying the other.
It's true.
You got to pay the other two first, but hey, I'll eat crow. I said after they didn't offer the fourth year to either one that it was okay.
Did it too.
Aye. Ugh, Dan Duquette. Son of a bitch. Never trusted Duquette. Never. All right, boys. Well, this has been fun. It's been good.
That's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
See Justin's face.
Yeah, we've seen Justin's face since. Oh wait, we did see his face.
We didn't see his face. We saw the green screen version of his face. Did you have a green screen at that time, or was that literally just the camera?
It was the camera. It was the whatever camera driver was screwing with my laptop's video camera just was not working right, and so yeah. I never found out what exactly the issue was. It was just one of those typical Microsoft fixes where I was like, well, let me just reboot my laptop a few times and see what happens. And now magically it worked.
Which, by the way, potentially one of the greatest memes you have ever sent.
The Microsoft Word one.
So great today, where it said, gotta respect the longevity of Microsoft Word. Nothing about it works, and it's still the standard. Want to move an image? Go to hell. Edit a PDF, edit your expectations. Ignore a spelling mistake? How about suck my dick? That'll be $150. Microsoft, glorious, broken piece of crap. As we do all of this on Microsoft. Zoom is not part of Microsoft, right? No.
They have their own Skype.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. What happened to Skype? Remember, that was the
Microsoft
thing.
owns it.
Oh, that's probably what happened to Skype. How did the #1 worldwide video conferencing system of Skype not profit off the pandemic? How did that happen?
Because of Zoom, and then Microsoft even developed what's their other one, like GoToMeeting or something like that.
Teams.
Teams.
That's right. Cisco does GoToMeeting.
Yeah.
That's yeah. We use Teams all the time, and it's goofy. All right, boys. Well, this has been spectacular. Thank you both so much for being a part of this. This is only episode 2 of the Baseball Boys podcast, so we'll definitely do this again as the season goes on. This will be a lot of fun. Thank you all for listening, all 15 of you, whoever this might be. And anyway, that is what's that?
The viewership's going up.
My viewership is going up. It was like 4 people last week, and it's like 15 this week. That's exponential growth. I'm like Bitcoin, except the really bad generic version that the dollar store sells. Either way, all right, episode 4 over. Thank you all very much. Gentlemen, have a glorious rest of your weekend.
You, buddy.